tonight, November the 18th, 2019. Welcome to our city staff members. We have our CAO, Bob Ashley, and our Director of Finance, Mr. Philpott, and maybe some other directors coming and going. Welcome to members of the public and our viewing audience. We have from the Journal Pioneer with us tonight. Welcome. And we're live on YouTube around the world tonight for the first time. So we like to say hello to our viewing audience and welcome members of the public to our City Council meeting. So is there a motion to approve the agenda? Moved by Councillor Snow and seconded by Councillor McDougall. All in favour say aye. Contrary nay. Carried. Any conflicts of interest to be declared? I do not see any. The minutes. Is there a motion to approve the monthly council minutes from October 22nd, 2019? Moved by Councillor McFeely and seconded by Councillor Adams. Any questions? All in favour say aye. Contrary nay. Carried. Correspondence. We had a number of correspondences, but I'll bring them up at the next meeting because we've got a long meeting tonight. A lot of invitations and those kinds of things this time of year. And so we'll continue on, and we have some special guests here tonight, but the first one is going to be Jemma Trowsdale. Jemma is a member of the War Amps Child Amputee from CHAMP, which is CHAMP, Child Amputee Program. So we would like you to come forward, and I'd ask our Deputy Mayor if she'd read some information, and then we have a special presentation, and you'd be welcome to say a few words if you want. So if you wanted to come forward, and if you want your dad to come with you, or what's up to yourself. Deputy Mayor is going to read that into minutes, as we say.
Should I read the War Amps
Sure.
bio too?
Yes.
Okay. The War Amps was started in 1918 by amputee veterans returning from First World War. The association's programs have grown over the years from assisting war amputees, whom it still serves today, to all amputees, including children. Today, the War Amp still has much to do to ensure amputees like Jemma have the artificial limbs they need to lead independent and active lives. With the public's continued support of the Key Tag service, its vital programs for amputees will carry on long into the future. And for our honored guest this evening, Jemma Trowsdale of Summerside is a right leg amputee due to cancer. She's also a member of the War Amps Child Amputee Program, referred to as CHAMP. At only 15 years old, Jemma has been actively involved with the War Amps. She is a strong advocate of the War Amps Play Safe message by riding on the association's floats in parades, encouraging other children to spot the danger before they play. She has also been a junior counselor at CHAMP seminars, which gather young amputees from across the Atlantic provinces. Jemma acts as a role model to the younger amputees by offering advice, sharing her experiences, and exemplifying a positive approach to challenges. This past summer, she was also featured on CTV Atlantic and in the Daily Gleaner in Fredericton, educating the public about life as an amputee. Jemma is a true champ and has made a difference in Summerside and beyond.
Summerside from the Mayor and Council, and I will read this into the minutes, as they say. Certificate of recognition presented to Jemma Trowsdale. In recognition of your volunteer efforts with War Amps Child Amputee Program, CHAMP, on behalf of City Council, please accept my most sincere thanks for your ongoing work in spreading the message of safety, perseverance, and positivity to our community and beyond. Congratulations and all the best. Thank you, Jemma. So now we have another special presentation, and this will be by Annie Compton and Susan Doucette, Compassionate Community Presentation. So the floor is yours. Who's going first? Go ahead.
Okay, perfect. So my name is Annie Compton. I'm a UPEI nursing student. I'm in my last year of nursing. And for my final year, the clinical setting which we're placed, so my setting is home care. For our final year, we have to create a program that will benefit both the program and the clients that are a part of that. So from this clinical setting, we created Compassionate Communities in Summerside, and it is an outreach program to palliative clients and their families, and I'm just going to talk a little bit about that today. So during this presentation, I'll just kind of talk about the Compassionate Community and what it is and why we're beginning it. So just to begin, I'm just going to give a little brief introduction as to what palliative care is. So palliative care is provided for people who have a life-limiting illness, so that could be anything from cancer, COPD, anything like that, that focuses on providing good quality of life. In other words, keeping the patient as comfortable and as pain-free and as symptom-free as possible. Palliative care may involve medicines, treatments, physical care, psychological, social services, and spiritual support, both for the patient and for those who are helping care for them. So what needs to change right now? So many misconceptions about palliative care. A lot of people think that you get the diagnosis, the terminal illness diagnosis, and then you're getting treatments, and then suddenly you're end of life, and that's it. There's no real, it's just kind of from treatments to end of life, and that's it. So that's a big misconception. It was a very medically driven perception. A more accurate representation of palliative care is the second that, well, just as soon as the illness is diagnosed, palliative care is almost instantly involved in collaborating with the patient to work through this illness, knowing that it's not going to get better, but trying to provide supports for them so that they can feel supported through this illness, and it's a gradual process to end of life. So it's not just diagnosis and then death, it's all throughout the process. So it's very inclusive of the patient and family and caregivers. It's not just the patient and the doctor. There's a whole variety of involvement in there. So death in the 21st century, I feel like there's a very big stigma between death and dying and the general population. A lot of people are scared to talk about it. A lot of families are kind of, I think there's a very big hesitation to talk about. It's a scary process for sure, but it's something that we're kind of nervous to deal with and talk about, I feel like, in our society. And so kind of our goal today is just kind of bringing awareness to palliative care and the process of death and dying, and to kind of erase some of those stigmas. So just these are some national statistics from Pallium Canada. Pallium Canada is a palliative program in Canada that kind of deals and promotes palliative care around Canada. So 70% of Canadians wish to die at home. Unfortunately, only 30% get the opportunity to, and 70% of people are dying in hospital. So just some statistics from East Prince. So as of November 13th, 2019, there have been 68 people registered on the palliative care program. Between September 30th, 2018 and October 1st of this year, there have been 100 deaths within the palliative care program, and of those 110 deaths, 25 people have died at home. So that's 22% of clients who have died in the home. So it's less than the 30%, which is the statistics that we're seeing in Canada. So less people there are less people dying at home than they wish to do. So that's something that we're really wanting to increase. However, I would like to note that over the last couple of years, there have been an increase of people dying at home. And that's just due to greater supports for those clients, but it's certainly a number that we could increase. So this is kind of where Compassionate Communities comes in. So palliative care is not solely about dying, and dying is not fundamentally a medical event. It's a social event that happens in the family and community. Certainly a wide variety of people are involved in it. It's not, as I was saying earlier, it's not just the patient and the doctor, it's the patients, the family, the friends, the community. It's very much a social event, as we're saying here. So this slide here, access to services, I think this is a very good depiction of what we're trying to achieve. So equality is everyone benefits from the same supports. equity, everyone gets what they need, but ideally the barriers are minimized so that everyone can have access to these resources, and the barriers to these resources are minimized and also eliminated, which is our goal. And a big barrier to getting these resources and barriers eliminated is caregiver support, and a huge barrier to dying at home, palliative clients dying at home, is a lack of caregiver support. Studies have shown that people who have good caregiver support, clients who are being cared for by their families or friends, if they have those supports, that life is prolonged and quality of life is prolonged as well for these clients. So these are just a couple things that it's very important to recognize. So the importance of community in our, when our communities are not strong, individuals tend to feel weaker. And I think that just kind of goes without saying. Without those resources, people are kind of more vulnerable for sure, and they're not, they definitely would feel weaker and not as supported. Compared to when our communities are strong and we have that support, individuals will tend to feel more powerful and able to face these really daunting times with these supports and resources. So right now, care is made up of not just, right now it's the 10% of the day is made up of a medical approach to care. So we think of palliative care, it's very medical, doctor, patient, of course, but that's not the whole day. The patient goes home. It's not, they're not spending all their time with the doctor or the clinic. They are going home. So how can we support this 90% of the day that's not being addressed by a medical healthcare provider? So just some areas of social change. So these are just areas within our community that we could draw upon to get these resources from clients so that they can feel supported the rest of the 90% of the day. So schools, workplaces, churches, hospice, nursing homes, these are all areas that within the community that we can draw upon for these clients and patients and families and caregivers to feel supported, so that when those supports are in place, that they will be able to face this time ahead with a greater sense of confidence. And I think that's extremely important. So now where only 10% of the day was just that initial medical support, now the rest of the 90% of the day is made up of these other supports, which are just as important, I believe, which is the spouse, caregiver, family, friends, volunteers, neighbors, workplaces and schools, churches, all these different areas that make up this community support. So this is just a slide. I think it really demonstrates the impact that having community care and health care and neighbors and supports, that there's a continual movement of support for these clients, and that they're always feeling supported and there's no break in care, not just from the clinic and then they're going home and there's nothing, but there's a continual movement of support. And I think that's really important. It's a really good illustration here. So compassionate communities across Canada right now, these are just some formal communities that are recognized by compassionate communities. So as you can see, there's only one in the Maritimes, which is Nova Scotia, and there's not any on Prince Edward Island. So Summerside undertaking this would definitely be, it would be a first for PEI for sure, which is really exciting. And the goal of compassionate communities right now is just, right now we're just focusing on Summerside, but with the goal of broadening it to further outside of the Summerside community and across East Prince and hopefully even further as the years go on. Of course, I just want to point out we're just starting this project. It's very much in the early beginnings, but we do have big goals for it. So starting a compassionate community. So right now, as I said, we're just starting. So the one-on-one with organizations, contacting organizations around Summerside for different resources within the community. We have been talking to a lot of people, and there's been good response. So that's just the kind of one-on-one and engaging the community. As the program develops, the focus groups and community engagements, as the program grows, we'll hopefully have more interactions with that and growing that program that way. So just very quickly, compassionate communities in Summerside, what are the programs already established? So the palliative care program, home care, and hospice are all programs that already cater to palliative care. Certainly we're not trying to step on anyone's toes or take away from what they're providing, but it's very much a collaborative effort between our program and the programs that are already established. Some organizations that we've contacted already have been churches, schools, pharmacies, grocery stores, Meals on Wheels, these kind of organizations. And we've had responses from quite a few, which is very, very exciting, very exciting. So Trinity United Church, Central Street Christian Church, Elm Street Elementary, Summerside Rotary Library, Chapman Center Seniors Day Program, East Prince Seniors Initiative, and Gardens of Hope Respite Cottage. So from these organizations, we've been in contact to gain resources. So I'll just give you an example or two. From the churches, we're kind of hoping, for example, bring a hot lunch to a caregiver who maybe is feeling burnt out and they just really need that night off just to kind of get that support so someone can come and help with bringing a hot meal, or having a client, if they don't have any access to friends or family, if they could get transportation to go to an appointment, because that's a big stress if they don't have that access to transportation. So just little things like this, so little daily tasks in people's lives, very individualized, that they can feel support from within the community. So just to kind of close, our aims for the program is to recognize all cycles of natural life, accept that caregiving, dying, and death, and grieving exist in our everyday activities and interactions, and recognize that care is not only the job of the healthcare professionals and social services, but it's everyone's responsibility. So really bringing palliative care out of that medical view and bring it into more social, community-driven form of care. And just to end on a quote, when the flower does not bloom, you fix the environment in which it grows, not the flower. And I think that's kind of nice. So I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. The other person want to say a few words as well?
No, I can just introduce myself. So I'm Susan Doucette. I'm one of the East Prince palliative coordinators at Home Care. So there's two of us there, but I generally have the students with me. So we certainly recognize that within our clients that there is a barrier to caregivers and clients receiving some of this care that's in this model. So that's where the idea came up from. And with Annie coming on board, it was a great opportunity to try and at least plant the seed out there and to try and start some kind of initiative within it. It'll take us time and figuring out who our strong community partners are in this and figure out where it goes from there.
Thank you very much. Great presentation. We'll go around the chambers here. Maybe councillors got any questions or comments? We'll start on this side. I see a couple of lights on there. Councillor Ramsay, you had a question? I see your light on.
I think it would be a wonderful program, by the way. Having worked in palliative care for some time at the hospital here in Summerside, I get exactly what you're talking about when it's just about in the hospital and the medical side of it. How do you see it unfolding? Like, what do you need to get a program like this started, I guess, would be a question that I have. Like,
I'm not sure if we can quite fully answer that yet because we're not sure what it will entail. Our plan for the next couple of weeks before Annie completes her time is to do some more face-to-face with different resources in the community and see what's out there. I think there's more out there than we're aware of, and I think we need to do that background work first.
Right.
We know that financial resources and that are difficult to get, and I'm not sure where we're at in that, but what we need is just to really put a lot of mindset into figuring out what's in our community to start.
Right.
So I don't know if I can answer that without knowing that first.
That's fine. I just didn't know if you had a plan in place already or, but thank you so much for your presentation. And when you do find out, maybe you could let us know what your needs are and,
Sure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great. Thank you, Councillor Ramsay. I do not see any other lights on. Councillor McFeely.
Just a comment. Just want to congratulate you and thank you for this initiative. I think it's a fabulous initiative for our community, and I have every confidence as you reach out to community groups that they will embrace it. I think we are a compassionate community. So, congratulations and thank you, and certainly best of luck as you move it forward. Look forward to hearing about it. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McFeely. Deputy Mayor McColeman.
And you did a great job.
Oh, thank
Really
you.
good information. And years ago, I was a former hospice volunteer, so many of the things that you touched on, you could see that in the lives of a lot of the clients if there wasn't the support or family support. So you did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. I do not see any other lights on. So, again, thank you very much for your presentation, and we wish you all the best.
you very much.
Thanks.
And you're welcome to stay for some more of the meeting if you want, but that's up to yourself.
Thank you.
Your schedule is probably fairly busy, but you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will continue on with the meeting then. The next item on the agenda is the Financial Services Report and resolutions from our Deputy Mayor, Norma McColeman. She's the Chair of Finance. The floor is yours, Deputy Mayor McColeman.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship, and good evening to my colleagues and members in the gallery. I'm very pleased to bring the financial results for the first half of our fiscal year, 2019. The city's financial results at the midpoint of this fiscal year are where we expected them to be at this point in the year. It is worth mentioning that while the city is showing a shortfall in the September operating results, this can be partially explained by the timing of our revenues and expenditures throughout the year. Neither revenues nor expenses line up neatly with the last day of each month. So, for example, we budget 39% of our general fund revenues to be received as of August 31st, whereas we budget for 45% of our expenses, which includes our capital expenditures, to be incurred as of the end of August. The trend continues to play itself out in this year's actual results. There are many reasons for the city's financial performance thus far, which have been highlighted in my previous reports throughout the past number of months. So I don't really want to repeat them here, but I did want to provide some additional context for these results in light of recent events. One of the things that I do want to point out is that the city publicly presents its proposed budget, planning, and spending forecast for the upcoming fiscal year with many details that they follow through our public AGM process. And everything that is reported on a monthly basis really stays true to what happens in the budget that is forecast. As with any municipality, there will be times when unforeseen circumstances may arise, which need to be addressed. On occasion, these circumstances may require the spending of unbudgeted funds to address the issue in a timely manner. A good example is the unbudgeted funding that was approved for emergency repairs to Credit Union Place for their signage and St. Eleanor's Community Center roof, both of which required immediate attention earlier this year, and they were unbudgeted items. It's, I guess, similar if we think of a home budget. We run into those same type of unforeseen circumstances and they have to be met. A more recent example is the cleanup and restoration costs from the post-tropical storm Doiron. While we are in discussions with the province regarding future reimbursement of these expenses, the city has already incurred $121,000 in additional costs. It's a figure which is expected to grow as our restoration efforts continue for the foreseeable future. This is another example of the need that we find ourselves in as a municipality to respond to situations that may arise that were unexpected, some of which may be outside the confines of our approved budget, which we do at the end of each fiscal period. Capital spending overall is slightly over budget as of the end of September, but it is not necessary attributable to any one project. $4.1 million has been spent on capital projects as of the end of September against what was budgeted at $3.9 million. One of the other things that I do want to point out is that capital spending overall is slightly over, and I just mentioned that about the $4.1 million. On a final note, it has come to our attention that there have been questions in the community about the city's finances and our reporting on the city's financial performance. I would like to remind our residents that we communicate our financial results on a regular basis in a number of ways, but there are some points that are always worth repeating for everyone's reference. And I do want to point out that, for example, last term, council, as a result, had different questions made, and one of the things that we want to point out is that if any of our residents run into any questions, any comments or concerns, anyone is welcome to speak to our Chief Financial Officer, the CAO, if you want to call, if you want to come in for a meeting to have those questions asked and answered, you're always very welcome. We're very open, we're very transparent. And also, at the end of our budget, a very serious audited process, we do go through an incorporated budget process where this information is made public to all of our residents and organizations. So everything that we follow, this is a blueprint for our fiscal year. And we do try to follow that, with the exception of the unbudgeted expenses that we incur, such as Hurricane Doiron. The other thing that I will note, just as to mention, is that on a final note, it has come to our attention that all of these points are very important, and I just wanted to bring those up, that people can ask questions and certainly make points. First of all, the city's total debt as the end of 2017 was $68 million, and which included the debt of the electric utility. The total debt decreased by $8 million over the term of the most recent council. This debt was retired according to carefully managed debt payment schedule, while also taking into account the need to maintain our city's infrastructure with our capacity to help pay for this infrastructure. The other thing that is very important to point out is that while our city staff keep a very close eye on the city's finances, as many of them are residents and taxpayers with young families and seniors, we are always open to an extra set of eyes on our financial health. For example, we are required by law to have an independent third party verify that our policies and processes for preparing financial information can be relied upon to make informed decisions about our financial position. It's basically like a report card for the municipality. I would also like to point out that an experienced independent consultant advised us in 2016 that the city's debt was manageable, that it was within reasonable limits as prescribed by legislation and other indicators, and that the city's debt management practices were effective and appropriate. These are some points that I wanted to highlight for the benefit of our residents and our community. I also want to thank for the opportunity to present this report. And the last thing I want to point out to our residents and community is that our mayor and council are accountable to the electorate during our term. We try very hard, and we try to be very on top of things, such as giving an analysis month to month with our reporting, with our fiscal management update. The other things that we do are transparency to our residents. We hold 2 public meetings each month. Council gives monthly reports, which gives a very important breakdown of the information in each department. Monthly meetings are taped publicly, and as you see tonight, we're live stream. Every year end, we go through an audited financial process with independent auditors and accountants. And so we feel that we give a very detailed and very transparent overview to our residents for analysis. So in closing, I do want to thank for the opportunity to present our 6-month report, and either myself or Chief Financial Officer are available to take your questions.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor McColeman, for your financial report. Any questions for the Chair of Finance? I do not see any question lights, so you have a resolution as well?
Yes, I do. I have 3 resolutions, Your Worship. The first one is Resolution COS 19-133. It was moved by myself, Councillor McColeman, seconded by Councillor Brian McFeely. Whereas the City of Summerside receives an annual allocation of gas tax funding from the province of Prince Edward Island, and whereas the city uses this funding to address infrastructure priorities in the community, and whereas the city is required to confirm with the province how it intends to use this funding, be it resolved that Council endorses that the direct allocation of gas tax funding as detailed in the letter of understanding received from the province of Prince Edward Island in January 2019 be allocated as follows. In the fiscal year 2019-20, project paving 2019 in the amount of $444,090. 2019-20 storm sewer 2019 project, $300,000. Boardwalk remediation project 2019, $300,000. Sidewalks 2019 project, $262,400. Pedestrian crossing lights 2019 project, $50,000. The total for 2019-2020 will be $1,356,490. In the year of 2020, consecutively into 2021, the project for Pope Road Central Street redesign, $1,356,490 has been allocated for that project. 2021 to 2022, the East-West Connector project, $1,433,775. In 2022-2023, the project for East-West Connector, again, $1,433,775. And in the final year, 2023 to 24, for the East-West Connector, $1,510,352. The total gas tax direct allocation funding for the year from 2019 to 20 to 2023-2024 is $7,090,882. This bears the recommendation of the Finance Committee meeting on November 5th, 2019.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor McColeman. Moved by Deputy Mayor McColeman and seconded by Councillor McFeely. And if I could just ask the question, there may be others, but what year is we got, there was a commitment made that the gas tax would be doubled for the city. Was that for, on your second portion, was it?
Yeah, they haven't asked us to indicate how we'd want to spend that money yet. The additional one-time funding of 1.3 mil.
Right.
Yeah, they haven't asked us yet how we.
But that check came in this fiscal year.
Yes, it has.
Yeah. And just for the information of the public, that's the federal gas tax that's funneled to or through the province to the municipalities. Thank you.
Is there anything else?
No. So are you ready for the Councillor Campbell?
I just wanted to congratulate or thank Council and the Mayor for working as a team to get on that Pope Road extension thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, it has been unanimous by all members of Council to this point, and I'm sure it will be until it's finished. So thank you, Councillor Campbell. So you ready for the vote? Yes, all in favour say aye. Aye. Contrary nay. Carried. You have two more resolutions. Yes,
I do, Your Worship. This one's a little bit shorter, but still very important that we give that detail to the public. Resolution COS 19-134, moved by myself, Councillor McColeman, seconded by Councillor Brian McFeely. Whereas Samaritan's Purse is a humanitarian aid organization that provides assistance to people in need as a key part of its missionary work, and whereas Samaritan's Purse recently assisted Summerside residents with their cleanup and restoration efforts following post-tropical storm Doiron, and whereas the City of Summerside would like to extend its appreciation for this assistance, be it resolved that the City Council endorses the payment of $5,000 to Samaritan's Purse for their assistance, excuse me, to Summerside residents following post-tropical storm Doiron. This bears the recommendation of the Finance Committee meeting on November 5th, 2019.
Moved by Deputy Mayor McColeman and seconded by Councillor McFeely. Any comments or questions on the resolution? It's nice, it was nice to read as well that our neighbours in Kensington made a contribution as well. So if there are no comments, are you ready for the vote? With Councillor Doiron or Doiron?
Oh,
We'll get your name mixed up with the windstorm.
Just wanted to, I think it's important to note that they didn't come to us to ask for any
Right.
donations or funding or anything like that, but just kind of important to note that we wanted to do that for them. I know they freed up a lot of work for our own crews, and they didn't ask for anything.
Right.
So I just think it's important for everybody to know that.
Thank you, Councillor Doiron. All in favour, say aye. Contrary, nay. Carried. So there will be a check presentation. I believe there's a date planned for that presentation. There is a date planned for that check presentation. Going to be the next week or so.
Well, actually, they happen to be coming to Summerside for meetings this week, and I believe on Thursday, and council is all welcome at noon to be here for that presentation.
Thank you. You have another resolution? Yes, I do. Go ahead.
This is the final resolution, and Resolution COS 19-135, moved by myself, Councillor McColeman, seconded by Councillor Brian McFeely. Whereas the City of Summerside borrow from financial institutions to finance the cost of a portion of its capital expenditures from the previous fiscal year and or refinance existing loans that have come due. Be it resolved that Council authorizes long-term borrowing in the amount of $10,896,100 for 2018-19 capital expenditures and refinancing of existing loans that matured as follows, and I will give a detailed list. The loan amount, $1,524,800. The purpose of the expenditure is to refinance loans that have matured for electric, $175,200, water, $93,700, sewer, $29,400, and general, $1,226,500. The term of the loan, 5 years, banker's acceptance with interest rate swap, all in fixed rate of 2.15%. It's an amortization of loan, 5 years, estimated rate of interest, indicative rate of 2.15%. The method of repayment, interest only until March 31st, 2020. Beginning in April 2020, equal blended monthly principal and interest payments. The next loan amount is for $3,370,700. It's for the purpose of the expenditure 2018-19 capital expenditures, energy management project, $3,218,900, which will be serviced by savings realized from the energy upgrades. Refinance loans that have matured for the sewer, $151,800. It's a term of a loan, 10 years, banker's acceptance with interest rate swap, all in fixed rate of 2.42%. It's amortization of the loan, 10 years. The estimated rate of interest will be indicative rate of 2.42%. The method of repayment is interest only until March 31st, 2020. Beginning in April 2020, equal blended monthly principal and interest payments. And one final one is the amount of $6,600,000. The purpose of the expenditure is 2018-19 capital expenditures for electric, $2,708,300, water, $1,633,800, and sewer, $1,658,500. The term of loan is 20 years. The amortization of the loan is indicative rate of 2.92%, and the method of repayment is interest only until March 31st, 2020. Beginning in April 2020, equal blended monthly principal and interest payments will be made. The City of Summerside is able to incur the indebtedness and liability as set out above. The loan total, $10,896,100, will not cause the City of Summerside to exceed its debt limit as set out in the Municipal Government Act, Part 3, Division 3, Section 164, Clause 3. The security required for this borrowing transaction is the appropriate borrowing resolution and related documentation. This bears the recommendation of the Finance Committee meeting of November 14th, 2019, and it was brought to my attention that we need to do just a friendly amendment on this resolution to name the, and I'll turn it over to our financial officer.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Deputy
Mr.
Mayor.
Philpott.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. It just came to my attention when I was reading the resolution that we've outlined all the details of the financing that we're seeking, but we don't name the financial institution that we're awarding this to. So I just wanted noted for the record and for Council's information that the successful financial institution that we're awarding this to is RBC.
Thank you. RBC as in Royal Bank of Canada.
Royal Bank of Canada. So that concludes that final resolution, Your Worship.
Okay, we'll have any questions in the resolution? Ready for a vote? Councillor Campbell.
Not a question, just a comment. I'd like to thank Deputy Mayor and Mr. Philpott too for how hard they've worked on making it understandable to people like me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. All in favour say aye. Contrary nay. Carried. Okay, we'll continue on. Thank you, Councillor Deputy Mayor McColeman, for your financial report. We'll move on to Tech Services. Councillor Justin Doiron.
Oh, we got it right.
I got it right.
Thank you, Your Worship. Doiron. Yeah, I will give my report for Tech Services, and I also have just a small update for one of the CS11 properties too that I'll give after this. The 2019 construction season is coming to a close. Our city projects are in various stages. The boardwalk replacement is wrapping up. Completed projects include paving, sidewalks, curbing, infilling, and water main work. Work has started on the Eco Park. The installation of water, sewer, and storm mains are completed. Work is continuing on the electrical and earthwork portion of the work off the project, off of Greenwood Drive. 26 building permits were issued for the month of October. We issued permits for 8 new single-family houses, 2 semi-detached houses, and then a number for accessory buildings, decks, signs, fences, etc., some residential additions and renovations. A permit was also issued for an addition to the French school. Staff continues to review and assist the public with pending developments and building permits to be issued in 2019. Residential starts have begun on several of the new subdivisions in the city. There are 6 units under construction on Dory View off Water Street, and another 6 permits have been issued. 1 4-unit building is under construction on Simmons Avenue off of McEwen Road. A couple of permits for semi-detached units have been issued for Putter's Lane between Mackenzie Drive and Bayview Avenue. It's good to see the housing start in those new subdivisions. There are still people stopping in and speaking to staff for assistance with their projects. Citizens are encouraged to ask for assistance with their projects that they may have planned for this fall and winter. The colder weather is about to hit us, so the final push for foundations is upon us. And I'd like to give a thanks to Technical Services Director Aaron McDonald for preparing that report.
Thank you, Councillor Doiron. Any further comments? I believe you had...
I do, yeah. I have an update, just that was given a bit of a status update, I guess, on the... a lot of folks are wondering what's going on with the old government garage property on Pope Road. And I just have a few things that have come up, I guess, starting in August, just to give the public a bit of a history as to the status of that building right now.
We have 2 of the neighbours here tonight with us in the audience.
Oh, good. Welcome.
Mr. Howard.
Well, hopefully this will help things. So on August 29th, they were issued a building permit for the fire restoration. At that time, the owner intended to remove the damaged roof on the east side of the building and replace it with a roof that pretty much matched that of the main garage. After that permit was issued, occupational health and safety, so the province, had some concerns that the owner would have to address prior to work commencing. And then there was an update on October 22nd, where council submitted a resolution dated October 1st. It was a CS11 notice letter sent via email on October 10th in regards to the unsightly conditions. Work to commence to address the unsightly conditions on or before November 8th, and that was to be completed by December 31st as per that resolution. Now the most recent update was from November the 14th. On November 6th, the building inspector from the city reviewed the site and found contractors working on cleaning. They were pressure washing the work area, removing some soot and some ash. The majority of fire damaged equipment has been removed. On November the 14th, the owner advised the city that work was being done on the overhead doors, and he's just waiting on the window glass installer, and he's prepping for the balance of the major repairs. Occupational health and safety had an order on the work which has been lifted to allow repairs to proceed. The owner is still having some difficulty finding contractors for some of the various work. On review on November the 14th, the inspector found work was in progress on the new exterior interior wall. This current work isn't really visible from the exterior. The owner is still having difficulty with finding contractors for some of the work. So at this point, that is the most recent update. So that's where that stands now. We're certainly continuing to follow it, both through tech services and through that department, and we're hoping to have updates as they find their contractors, and hopefully that'll be soon. If council would allow it, then
I got no problem if you want.
sure. Yeah. Do you want to?
Well, you have to get the
give
microphone.
a microphone here.
Do you want to get the microphone over there?
You want to just?
Mr. Howard is the neighbor there.
Yeah. If you just wouldn't mind just stating your name and your address for the record, and we'll.
Hi, my name is Ray Howlett. I live in 174 Pope Road, Summerside, across from the old government department building. That building has been an eyesore for years, and ever since the fire it's become a complete and absolute disgrace. It's over 10 months or more, and if they've been in there with pressure washers and washed the inside and that's not a heck of a lot of work that's been done on that property since then. The other issue is too, if you look at the yard, it's full of derelict vehicles that were in the fire. There's rubble all over the yard. The building next to that building, the old salt building, is basically ready to fall down. When he got that property a number of years back, it was myself and a number of concerned citizens didn't think that should have even been there in the first place. It was not the appropriate place for that. He promised at that time he was going to fix up the place, make it decent looking, and that promise was never delivered. If I had my property like that, the city wouldn't take too long coming in and cleaning it up for me, whether I wanted to or not. It would be done. If I had 8 or 10 derelict vehicles in my yard and it looked like that, whether I said anything or not, the city would do it. I don't understand why the city can't do the same with this property. You have the Unsightly Act, Properties Act. You have the legal right within that act to do certain things to make sure that property is either cleaned up or torn down. And I do not understand why the city hasn't moved faster and harder on getting that cleaned up. And if you talk to a lot of people in the town of Summerside, they all say it's an absolute disgrace. It should have never been there in the first place. But every time there's a strong wind from the south, there's debris flies off that building and lands on my property. And you look at the building, I can't put words to how disgusting that thing is. And past history with Mr. Crosby is he will not do anything at all unless he absolutely has to, and he's forced to. Otherwise, he will do nothing. He's got staff working in that building, been working in that building since the fire, in an unhealthy environment, and he doesn't care. The staff, he doesn't seem to care a hoot about the staff. There's some of the staff actually had to leave and resign working with him because the place was unsafe to work in, unhealthy to work in, and he was doing nothing. I just can't understand it. The other thing I don't understand too is why the provincial government, who offers the contract to that gentleman to clean up the garbage, would allow that to continue. You know, that's, in this day and age with the Health Act and everybody doing their best to make sure the employees work in a healthy and safe environment, how come they're letting that go for 10 months? You know, and from my past history with Mr. Crosby, he will do everything he can to delay and stymie and do everything possible to not get that place cleaned up, because he doesn't care. He doesn't want to do anything to fix it up. And I still know from looking at the Unsightly Utilities or Unsightly Properties Act, the city has the right within that act to do it by themselves without any permission from that owner. Why isn't that being done? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Howitt, for your presentation. And Mr. Howitt did mention to me a couple of days ago when I met him that there were no workers in there, but we were getting reports that there were workers, and he lives right across the street and he didn't see anybody. So I'm not sure. I go drive by once in a while, have a look around, and
But just take a drive by and have a look. And if they took a pressure washer in there to wash some of the soot and ash off the inside of the building almost 11 months after the fire, that's, to my book, not a heck of a lot. That's not really a hell of a lot going on to fix it up. And if he's doing some bit of work in the inside, I mean, and he's talking about putting a roof on the east side that's the same as the one on the west side. Have you seen the one on the west side? It's a complete disaster. Full of holes. It's a rusted out steel roof. Is he going to replace that? No. Is he going to replace the side of it? Not that I'm aware of. The building was structurally condemned because of the fire and the steel. How is he going to restore that building without taking that steel down and replacing it or fixing it? I'm just not believing that what he's telling us he's actually going to do, and some of the information he's given us is valid. I'm sorry. That's my view.
thank you.
Thank you.
Just to follow up there, Mr. Councillor Doiron, I think you mentioned in the process that there's some dates that they have to abide by. You'd mentioned some dates in your report there.
The most recent update, which was November 14th, there wasn't really mention of a date, but the resolution that we passed on the 1st, when we sent the letter to them, work was to commence. As per our resolution, it was supposed to start on or before November 8th and be completed by December 31st.
Okay.
So I guess to answer your question, the next date would be December 31st, where everything's supposed to be completed. I mean, I certainly don't, based on Mr. Howitt's and I mean myself, I see it all the time. I work very close. I certainly don't see how the building can be fully restored in a month and a half, but those are the dates as per our bylaw that we had to put on our resolution. So
just so Mr. Howitt, you might have been speaking there, but Councillor Doiron had mentioned December 31st.
December 31st.
The work is supposed to be finished.
As per our resolution, as per the bylaw, they're given so many weeks and days, and based on when that resolution was passed, they have until December 31st to complete the work. And I mean, I don't think there's anybody here that will realistically say they think that's going to be done. But that's
impossible.
for the bylaw. No.
I worked for the telephone company for a lot of years and involved in a lot of construction sites with a lot of construction. It's not possible.
No.
It's a physical impossibility to do that amount of work, because that building basically has to be started from the inside. The structure has to be fixed. The walls have to be replaced and rebuilt. The roof has to be completely rebuilt. There's no way that's going to be done in 6 weeks. It's impossible. You're talking 6 months worth of work minimum. So how, is he trying to tell the city that that's possible and we're supposed to believe that? I mean, did he think we just got off the turnip truck yesterday?
No, I think, and CAO Bob, you can correct me if I'm wrong, just the dates that are outlined in the bylaw, the amount of time that we have to give, it's December 31st. Now, after December 31st, Maybe CAO Bob, you can chime in and maybe let us know what our options are.
We don't have the benefit of having either the building officer here or the director of technical services who be able to clarify. But I'd certainly invite you to call me or through Justin to see if we can get further clarification on that, because you're right, it doesn't sound realistic. It may be a work in progress date. I don't know.
It's impossible. It's absolutely impossible. It takes 6 months to even begin to get that building to the stage where it looks halfway presentable.
Yeah, so it may be a phase thing. I don't know. We'd have to check with the people that are doing the work.
And we'll certainly, hopefully, have that by our first committee meeting after December 31st. I guess it would be the first Tuesday in January. We'll try to have as much as we can. And personally, if there's anything that the city can do and legally entitled to do, I'll be happy to be the one to put that motion
Well,
forward.
legally you are entitled, because I checked with legal counsel, and according to your Unsightly Premises Act, you do, the city of Summerside does have the legal right to move in and do what they want to do with the property that's been deemed unsightly.
After the days have passed.
After the days have passed, right, I give you that. But the question is, why has it taken this long to get to this point when that building's been an eyesore for years, leave alone, and then the fire just added, the coup de grace to make it an absolute disgrace?
I would think it's because there has been no unsightly bylaw complaints have come in, or we haven't had a reason to.
I disagree with that. I have talked to Councillor McDougall, I've talked to Mayor Basil Stewart, I've talked to several councils about this over the last couple of years. And I've really talked to them quite a bit over the last number of months since the fire.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, but there has been complaints.
Okay. No, I
And I'm
wasn't
talking
here,
on
so.
behalf of myself and quite a number of other citizens in that area.
Okay, so fortunately, I guess, or unfortunately, maybe it took the event in January to really kind of push what we are able to do, and we certainly got that process started. And like I say, when December 31st passes, I'll be the first one to put a motion on the floor to do something within our rights.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I've been waiting to do that for some time now, so if that's the date that allows it, then
Maybe you'll have an update further too before December 31st during our December meeting,
Right.
see whether it's our
Sure,
committee
yeah.
meetings or the monthly meeting in December will be the third Monday in December, whenever that is. So there may be some more information update before the 31st. Okay, we had a couple of lights on here. I believe Councillor McDougall and then Councillor Snow.
Thank you, Your Worship, and I want to thank Ray for coming in this evening. I know that I've talked to Ray a number of times, and we've talked to the city, and this process has taken a long time to get here. It's been a moving target, and I assure you, Ray, we've been trying to work with tech services, our building inspector, the government, and so anyway, I thank you for coming in, because we all know in this room that something has to be done. It's a disgrace. I invite every one of you to come out and have a look at it. Just look at the building. It's an eyesore. It's a black eye in our community. We drive by that every day, and this has to be cleaned up. This has gone on for almost a year. The burned out equipment is just taken out in the yard and left there. It looks like a graveyard for old garbage trucks, and whether it's a snowmobile or whatever, it's there. And this has to be cleaned up. We're better than this, and I would, after December 31st, I think the city should move in and do whatever we have to do. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Councillor Snow, you have your light on for a question or
Just,
comment?
I guess, just a few comments. Thank you, Mr. Howard, for coming and giving us your side. I think it's important to note, I don't know if this was the proper way to do it, though, because we have a business owner who I totally agree that has left the property in a very sad state, but he's not here to speak to it, and I just think we got to be careful when we open up this can of worms to just let people come in and speak, because it's not the proper way to do it. I think we go through the committee and we notify people, and we give everybody the opportunity to come in and speak their side. That being said, I do agree that the property is in a very sad state. I think it's very unrealistic that anything would be done by the December 31st date. But that being said, we do have, Mr. Howard said that he's been putting in the complaint for a number of years. We have other properties, a few in my ward that we had to really start pushing on, that we just, for whatever reason, over the last number of years in the city of Summerside, we've seen to drag our feet a little bit in pushing people who own properties to take care of their properties. Since being elected, I think it's a very important issue to maintain your property, be respectful of your neighbors, and for whatever reason, we've lost a little bit of that within our city, and it bothers me. It's something I'm really passionate about, and I think all my fellow councillors know that, so thank you for coming in, but let's make sure we're following the proper ways of doing business and making sure everybody has the voice that they deserve to council. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you. I think this has gotten, we've gotten pretty near to the boiling point. I think that's what's happening now, and you can't blame the neighbors. Councillor Doiron, do you have anything further at this time?
Nothing further on that, Your Worship. No, that's that for now.
Okay, that's all you have then at this point?
No, I don't have a resolution. No, I just wanted to, just because it was in the paper today, I just kind of wanted to bring it to light, I guess, that I did read today that I guess it was the mayor of Alberton who started to talk about maybe teaming up with a couple of municipalities, O'Leary and Tignish, about bylaw enforcement. And I just wanted to put it out there to the public, because I know we haven't been talking about it for a while now, but it is still on the radar, and budget season's coming up, and I just didn't want to have that in the paper, because I know there's a lot of people out there that probably read that and they're wondering, well, Summerside talked about that for a while, and they kind of have gone silent on it. So I just wanted to just remind everybody that it is still on the radar, and you know, budget season is coming up, and just want to let everyone know that we didn't forget about it, and it's still an important issue to, I think, everyone around the chambers here tonight. So just wanted to send that update out there, I guess.
Thank you very much, Councillor Doiron. Okay, we'll move on to the Planning Board under Councillor Brian McFeely. I believe you have a report or a resolution.
A resolution, Your Worship. Thank you. And we'll just move right to the resolution. The resolution is COS 19-129, moved by myself, Councillor McFeely, seconded by Councillor Kerry Adams. Whereas under the City of Summerside zoning bylaw, a comprehensive development plan is required in a comprehensive development CBA zone. And whereas Slemon Park Corporation submitted a comprehensive development plan, phase 1, for a portion of PID number 7068 to allow 16 single-family dwellings on Argus Avenue and Neptune Crescent as shown on plan titled Slemon Park Housing Option 2019, prepared by Bay Winds Consulting. That's Bill Dross. The drawing number S100 dated October 30th, 2019. Be it resolved that Council approve the comprehensive development plan phase 1 as submitted by Slemon Park Corporation, and that map is attached to Your Worship for the record. And this bears the recommendation of the Planning Board meeting on November 5th, 2019.
Moved by Councillor McFeely and seconded by Councillor Adams. Any questions on the resolution? All in favour say aye. Contrary nay. Carried. Is that all you have at this point, or do you have
It's all in the Planning Board, Your Worship. I have the Economic Development Report.
Okay.
Move on to. And the report, I guess, tonight really is about 4 themes, I guess: immigration, innovation, growth, and relationships. And I want to start off really by thanking and congratulating our economic development team, Mike Tutuska and Neil Moore, for their efforts. And you know, it's the type of business that you're continually building relationships, and some of those relationships take years and years to foster. And I think as we go through the report, you'll see we're starting to get some payback for some of that effort. And I know it's frustrating along the way, because there's a lot of there's a lot of rejection in that business, so I really want to thank those folks for the effort that they put in on a daily basis on our behalf, and we're really starting to see, I think, a payback for those efforts. So, exciting announcement, Your Worship, on November 1st. I know you were part of announcing the expansion of the PI Office of Immigration into Summerside. And the exciting part is it'll be in the heart of our downtown. The office is located at 268 Water Street, and we'll be employing 5 people. We'll be bringing critical services to our local market that our clients are needing to further their investment ambitions. I want to thank Minister McKay and his team for this tremendous announcement. It's a bold step forward and fortifies our already strong collaboration in growing our region's economy. Having this office downtown sends a strong message to our community that our partners are serious about making change and improving the level of service available to newcomers as they look to establish and settle and help grow our economy. Our downtown is seeing significant investment and growth, and we are pleased that this office has chosen downtown Summerside to be a part of the positive momentum in investment and activity. On November 6th, Your Worship, the department took part in a day-long session with that the East Prince Integration Committee put on, really creating a Summerside-made solution and welcoming investment through immigration. The event had over 100 participants, and as I said, was conceived and organized and executed by a group of dedicated and passionate and focused individuals. The most important part of this is that there's critical follow-up action items that will take place to ensure we create a welcoming environment, as well as promote local business services to further support newcomers' investment in Summerside. Well, the Economic Development Office has been leading the charge in terms of immigration. Moving forward, it is going to require all of our community to come together to help seize these opportunities. Immigration is becoming an important driver of our economy. And with the clients that the office is currently working with, the opportunity to diversify, attract labor, and grow all sectors of our economy is promising. A recent analysis of the potential client demand in industrial and commercial space alone represents over 66,000 square feet of office space, 200,000 square feet in retail, and 100,000 square feet in industrial space. These figures do not include the demand for residential space in Summerside. From an economic development perspective, these are qualified, vetted, and real opportunities. Immigration is certainly leading the way, but there's more to the story than just immigration, as general investment inquiries are also on the rise in all sectors of our economy. Overall, we are seeing interest from a diverse group of investors in addition to the Immigrant Investor Program. The economics of Summerside is starting to have people take notice. We must remember immigrants and investors have choice. They have choice on where they want to invest and see a return in their money and where they want to do business. The job of our department is to make Summerside that place, and that is that we are ready for investors, and we're open and we're seamless to do business. I want to again this month talk about our construction activity, which again is in a positive trend for our growing economy. Our permit dollar values are up over 60% over the same time period last year, topping over $37 million. Our residential permits are up over 133%, and commercial is up over 20% in comparison to the same time last year. We topped just over 24 million. So this is significant investment, Your Worship, and will result in a good tax return for the community. Finally, it's another first for Summerside is our Living Lab initiative. For the first time anywhere in Canada, artificial intelligence has been used to optimize energy dispatch in the utility. Summerside is already well established as a leader in the renewable energy use, with 46% of its energy coming from wind power, the highest percentage on the continent. Now Summerside Electric is turning to artificial intelligence to further innovate its utility. Summerside Electric is working with Blue Wave artificial intelligence machine learning platform and Microsoft Azure cloud services to optimize the renewable energy mix in the grid to reduce both cost and emissions. Blue Wave's predictive technology has yielded up to 50% improvement in energy scheduling accuracy over the utility system baseline. This year marks a transition year for our Living Lab initiative with 3 projects currently in the works and demand and growing interest into 2020. Summerside's Living Lab program has established the city as a test bed for firms looking to develop market solutions with validation and upscale deployment of products and services. Following up on our lab, this past Friday, we had a group of 4 Hungarian companies looking for expansion in North America as part of their fact-finding visit to Canada, and chose Summerside and PEI to take a closer look at that, the investment climate. I personally wasn't able to be there, but certainly my co-chair, Councillor Doiron, was there, as was the Deputy Mayor and yourself, Your Worship. It's these kinds of partnerships and having the opportunity to meet with these folks that provide opportunity for Summerside. So that concludes my report, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McFeely, for your 2 reports, Economic Development and the Planning Board. Any questions for the Chair of Planning Board or Economic? Councillor Ramsay, your light's on there. Do you have a question?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Self-ready.
Okay, the next on the agenda is the police report and the fire report and the emergency planning. Councillor Ramsay, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Your Worship and fellow councillors, and welcome to everyone here. I'm going to do the fire report first, and it was submitted by Ken Culleton. For October 2019, there were 36 calls for assistance during the month of October, and the breakdown is as follows. 10 medical first responder calls, 5 structural calls, fires, 6 alarm panel calls, 1 mulch fire, 5 cancel calls, 3 MVA fires, and 6 miscellaneous calls. There were 22 training opportunities offered during the month of October, totaling 60 hours. So the guys were busy. Congratulations are being sent out to 5 successful new recruits joining the Summerside Fire Department. Sean Allen, Kevin MacArthur, Alex Forrest, Jade Pruce, and Robin Cassie. Welcome aboard, firefighters, and congratulations to each and every one of you. The Summerside Fire Department is organizing and hosting this year's Christmas parade. It is their first year doing this, and I am pleased to be sitting on the committee along with Lydia Potter, our downtown director, with this wonderful group of firefighters. The parade is this Friday, November 22nd. It will leave Holland College at 6 p.m. It has a new route which is posted on the City of Summerside's Facebook page, and it will be in Wednesday's Journal Pioneer. The parade will end at the Summerside Fire Hall. Santa will be there to greet the children, and there will be hot chocolate and cookies. There will be a $350 first prize for best float, and there will be a $150 prize for second place. So get your floats ready, guys, and get into the parade. Hopefully we will have our mayor and councilors singing a few Christmas carols along the route. We've got to get our practice in this week, guys. We only have a few days now.
Hope it's not too cold to play the guitar.
Well, cold or not, we can sing it.
You have your gloves on.
Yeah. We've had many sponsors contribute to this year's Christmas parade, and I would like to thank each and every one of them for their generosity. So Summerside Chrysler and Dodge, Downtown Summerside, Standard Auto, City of Summerside, McIsaac's Backhoeing, Centennial Auto Group, Kent Building Supplies, HMS Office Supplies, Atlantic Superstore, and Sobeys. Thank you to every one of you. Samuels, along with Advanced Builders and Advanced Plumbing, will be doing their annual food drive. So please bring your food bank items with you to be picked up along the parade route or drop them off at Samuels anytime this week. Again, thank you for your generosity towards the food bank. Also, we're asking that candy or treats not be thrown from the vehicles or floats. We need to be aware of safety for everyone during the Christmas event. That concludes my fire report. If anyone has any questions.
Any questions for the chair of the fire department, fire committee?
Mhm.
If not, move on to your police report.
Okay, so then I'll go right into the police report, and it was submitted by Chief Dave Poirier for the month of October. During October, with the increasing calls for school bus children's safety, police services have been making increased patrols at the near locations where buses frequent to pick up the children. Reports are coming in, and several charges have been laid in this regard. Police will continue with this campaign into the fall. Just a reminder that the minimum fine for passing a school bus displaying flashing red lights is $1,000, and with an automatic 3-month driver's license suspension if convicted. Training services for the month of October. 2 members attended a hostage negotiation training in Moncton. Chief attended Police Advisory Board meeting in Ottawa. Officer attended Equity and Inclusion Workshop at the CUP. Several members attended the Pursuit Driving Training at the Atlantic Police Academy. 2 members attended tactical training in Aldershot, Nova Scotia, and several members attended firearms training at the Atlantic Police Academy. Community policing activities, several members attended the fire hall for Fire Prevention Week with school children participating. A member attended Aboriginal Justice Forum in Charlottetown and Halloween safety talks conducted during this month. Occurrence statistics. The following is a list of some of the occurrences totaled for October 2019. Calls for service were 528. Traffic accidents were 31. Reported crimes of assault and threats were 27. Theft reports were 27. Impaired driving offenses were 6. Highway traffic offenses were 60. Break and enter reports business and residential 4. And drug enforcement charges were 8. Any questions on any of that, you can contact Chief Dave Poirier. I would like to give an update on the new resource officer who is now in place at Three Oaks Senior High School. I am personally very excited about this position being filled. Constable Brett Montgomery started his role on October 28th. Brett has an office at Three Oaks, and all indications are that he has been kept quite busy over the past few weeks. I have recently met with Brett and Three Oaks principal Jeff Clow, and with the support of Mayor and Council, we are in the beginning stages of planning another drug forum the early part of 2020. I will have more details on that in January. That concludes my police report, if anyone has any questions.
Thank you, Councillor Ramsay. Any questions for the chair? Councillor Snow.
Just a quick comment. Today was my first day of working in the Summerside family of schools, and already today I heard of the positive impacts of Constable Montgomery in the schools. So, and that's coming from the schools themselves. It wasn't even Three Oaks that I was at today. So, it's important to note that the impact, although he's at Three Oaks, is being felt at other schools as well. And then, secondly, I just want to thank you for organizing the second forum. I look forward to it. The first one was great, and I expect the second one to be better. So, thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Snow.
Thank you.
Okay, so if there's no more questions, I have 2 resolutions that I'd like to bring forward. Okay.
Thank you.
So, resolution COS 19-130, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Corey Snow. It be resolved that a total of 3 parking spots be eliminated on the north side of Notre Dame Street, 2 directly in front of the Youth Engagement Center at 381 Notre Dame Street, and 1 space just west of the Confederation Trail crosswalk on Notre Dame Street. This bears the recommendation of the Public Police Committee meeting of November 5th, 2019.
Moved by Councillor Ramsay and seconded by Councillor Snow. Any questions on the resolution? All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary nay. Carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you. It's wonderful. And the second resolution I have is COS 19-131, moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Corey Snow. Be it resolved that the cul-de-sac at the very bottom of Jennifer Street near 293 and 296 Jennifer Street be signed as a no parking zone, approximately 50 meters. This bears the recommendation of the Police Committee meeting of November 5th, 2019.
Moved by Councillor Ramsay and seconded by Councillor Snow. Any questions on the resolution? All in favour say aye.
Aye.
Contrary nay. Carried unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is that all you have at this point then?
That's all I have at this point.
Okay, we will continue on. Community Services, Councillor Snow. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd like to thank J.P. DeRoger, Director of the Community Services Department, for compiling my report. October is here and gone, and another busy month for the Community Services Department. A few major announcements were made throughout the month. First, Summerside was named the permanent home and host destination for the International Motorcycle Festival Atlanticade. Paired with Ribfest, Atlanticade will be returning to Summerside waterfront in August of 2020.
Here, here.
I look forward to that event. It's going to be a great boost in our economy during that time. So.
You get your motorcycle shined up.
Yeah, I don't have one, but maybe I will by then.
Maybe.
Second announcement was made later in the month that will see the world-renowned Queen musical, We Will Rock You, stopping at Credit Union Place in February of 2020. For the first time ever, Eastlink Arena will be transformed into a theatrical setting for the musical that's been seen by over 16 million people in 19 countries. In addition to these announcements, the Harlem Globetrotter tickets went on sale, making for an eventful year ahead as they stop in Summerside in April of 2020. Standard Aero continues to show their support and partnership with Credit Union Place and the City of Summerside by giving the fleet of Zambonis at Credit Union Place a new look, wrapping the newly acquired ice resurfacer in Standard Aero's new branding. The Summerside Western Capitals went 5-0 at home in the month of October, extending their undefeated record at Eastlink Arena. They also played 2 games this weekend. They were over in Edmundston and won those 2 games, so they are now on a 10-game winning streak. The Parks and Green Spaces crews continue to be busy preparing for the winter months and continue to park improvements and play structure installations throughout our city. The Veterans Convention Center saw a very busy month with 53 bookings from a mix of returning and new clients. Lastly, Aquatic Center continues to be a busy area in the facility, offering tri-kayaking and stand-up paddleboard lessons 4 times throughout the month, along with public swimming lessons on a weekly basis. That is my report.
Thank you, Councillor Snow. Any questions for the chair? Councillor Doiron, you have a question?
Just more of a comment, Your Worship. Just wanted to thank everybody down at the Cup that set up and took care of us and did the Remembrance Day ceremony on the 11th. It was always good to go to, obviously, but just wanted to thank everybody in the department for putting that on, and we'll be there again next year for sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think they're estimating around 4,000 people, including the floor people. So just amazing.
That's the busiest I remember seeing one inside. It's amazing that we're able to host that event in our great facility. I know as Chair of Community Services, I'm very proud that we host that in that facility. A lot of people really enjoy that aspect. So,
thank you.
And just
Go
one
ahead,
thing, all of the veterans are so honored and well remembered, but we were very fortunate to have Mr. Olskamp, who is 100, as a veteran. So pretty amazing.
Thank you. Okay, well, just before we move on to the next report, I'd like to welcome the Executive Director from the Downtown Business Association, Lydia Potter, and a board member. Welcome. Board member Angie Perry, welcome. So, we'll turn it over now to Councillor Adams. She has a Human Resources, Legal Affairs, Culture Summerside, Policy and Bylaw Review Committee, and everything else. Floor is yours.
Sounds like a lot, but it's
Yes.
rather short. We'll start with HR and Legal Affairs. Joint Occupational Health and Safety Committee, as well as department subcommittees, continue to meet on a regular monthly basis. Competitions for an IT specialist and assistant electrical engineer are in progress. Staff are beginning their preparations for payroll year-end. The Staff Association Christmas party is scheduled for November 30th. And WMIS training for staff is taking place throughout the month of November. We had several grade 9 students that participated in Take Your Kid to Work Day throughout the city. And that is it for HR and Legal Affairs.
Thank you.
We'll move right into Culture Summerside. The following report captures some highlights of Culture Summerside's activity from the middle of October to the middle of November. The City of Summerside's 19th Annual Historic Ghost Walk was held on October 24th. If any of you haven't been, it is something else to see. The sold-out event was able to accommodate just over 300 participants. Tours of 25 to 30 people departed every 10 minutes to lead participants to 10 vignettes located throughout the Heritage District. Homeowners and city staff worked to animate each location with colored lighting and props. The Draw of Art, Wide Heritage Properties Inc.'s signature fundraiser, is scheduled for this November 21st. The Summerside and area arts community have been very generous in donating artworks to the event. Works ranging in value from $100 to $1,100 have been received. Every ticket holder gets an original work of art created by a local artist. The luck of the draw determines who gets first pick, second, third, and so on, until everyone receives a work of art. The evening is filled with fine food, excellent music, high tension, and exciting suspense. Although we have reached our goal in ticket sales, anyone still interested in participating will of course be accommodated. Details of the annual school Christmas program are being finalized and registration will open very soon. This program normally sees 700 to 800 school children, teachers, and chaperones participating. This year's program will create increased access to the Wyatt Museum for students and community members. The topics change each year and are written to correlate with the education curriculum. Culture Summerside is currently finishing a collections project supported by the Community Museums Association. The project supports the further cataloging of museum artifacts. And that would be it for Culture Summerside. I'll move right into bylaw policy review. Existing bylaw housekeeping. The purpose of this work is mainly housekeeping, cleaning up formatting, wording, and references so they will be consistent with collection of bylaws passed by Council last year, and they will be in compliance with the new provincial MGA. First reading of the amendments occurred at our October meeting of Council. Second reading has been scheduled for this month's November Council meeting. New bylaws mandated by the province. Last month, the BPR reported that the city was still waiting for provincial models for 2 additional bylaws originally mandated by the new MGA to be in place by December 31st, 2019. The 2 required bylaws are Access to Information Bylaw and the Retention of Records Bylaw. The province has since extended the deadline into 2020 and just recently completed the regulations for these 2 bylaws. The regulations related to these bylaws have recently been published in the Royal Gazette. BPR work on these 2 bylaws can start in 2020, with drafts coming back to Council for review and further direction by late winter or early spring 2020. And we can move, I have a resolution. And these went over in detail at our last meeting. There are copies of each in detail provided if anyone would like a copy. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Doiron. Whereas the City of Summerside bylaws CS 15 through CS 27 were presented at the monthly meeting on October 22nd, 2019 for a first reading. CS 15 General Revision Confirmation Bylaw, CS 16 Places of Amusement, CS 17 right-of-way bylaw, CS 18 firearm bylaw, CS 19 cosmetic pesticide and integrated pest management bylaw, CS 20 emergency measures bylaw, CS 21 licensing bylaw, CS 22 parks bylaw, CS 23 staffing bylaw, CS 24 combative sports commission bylaw, CS 25 taxi bylaw, CS 26 local improvement bylaw, CS 27 traffic and parking bylaw. Be it resolved that the City of Summerside bylaws CS 15 through to CS 27 be hereby declared read a second time and be formally adopted, thereby repealing any previous related bylaws.
Thank you. Moved by Councillor Adams and seconded by Councillor Doiron. You've all heard the resolution. You ready for the vote? Are there any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Contrary nay. Carried. Thank you, Councillor Adams. Do you have anything further at this time? Okay, we'll continue on. Municipal Services, Councillor McDougall, how's the new Sweet Street working?
Perfect. Thank you, Your Worship, and welcome to everybody out there in Facebook land. It's great to be moving ahead with technology. Yeah, YouTube or whatever, and YouTube Live, Facebook Live. Yeah. I have a report here that's been prepared by Greg Goody, Director, and public work crews completed the last pickup of the storm Doiron tree debris on November 6th. The disposal site for the debris is now closed. Options are currently being gathered to deal with the debris and the cost taken into consideration the environmental concerns. Once completed, a briefing report will be distributed to Mayor and Council. Compton Road and the access road to the disposal site have been regraded and potholes filled from the heavy truck traffic. We want to take the opportunity to thank the public for their cooperation during this time. Public Works has installed 3 new crosswalk flag systems on Water Street, one by the Shipyard Market, one by Sonny's Dairy Bar, and one by Hustle Athletic Gym. Public Works Department have received new tow-behind generators this month, a new tow-behind generator this month. This increases the generators for emergencies to 2 units. Fire hydrant flushing was completed this month, along with repairing of the markers for winter. Street sweeping continued for the full month, and traffic painting is completed for the year. Street signage continues to be repaired from Storm Doiron. The new downtown parking signage was installed this month. Doryview and Fairview subdivisions were commissioned for water, storm, and sewer services, and several building permits have been approved in these areas. All municipal parks were turned off for the water services for the winter. And just a couple of general operational stats is there was 32 water samples and 15 chlorination samples taken, and all were within parameters. 13 turnoffs, and that's basically it, Your Worship. That's all I have for a report.
Thank you. Any questions for the Chair of Municipal Services? I do not see any questions. Do you have any further comments?
Just one quick comment.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. I would like to thank the Public Works Commission, the Public Works, for getting the flags installed.
Yes.
Very timely. I know I've received a lot of positive feedback. I know they've been very busy with other stuff with Dory and cleanup and maintenance and getting ready for winter, but to get those up, and they appear to be used because they're switching from side to side. Some days there's 10 on one side and 1 on the other, but they're being used, and I've received lots of feedback saying how positive. So thanks.
Thank you. I go by there every day a couple of times. I haven't seen anybody use them, but I noticed that there's more on one side than there is the other lots of times. So I figured they're gone that way. They'll be back soon, right? So yeah, right. That's all I have, Your Worship. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McDougall. Okay, we'll continue on with Councillor Campbell. You have Electrical Services report.
Big Barb.
Yes, floor is yours, sir.
I got this report about a week ago, so I have to change it a little bit. It said the wind turbines are fully repaired with all 4 turbines working. If anyone noticed, we have one down again. Has been for a couple of days now. our repairs for them will be about $150,000, not counting the loss of energy that we have from it, so it's quite serious matter. One had a cracked blade and the other had a clutch problem, and I assume it's the clutch problem when we're having trouble with.
Was the cracked blade from the windstorm, the high windstorm?
Yeah, both of the shutdowns
So
and the
that'll be
problems with the
an
windstorm.
insurance job, probably?
The insurance is
Looking at it.
$100,000 deductible. So, but it was still, like we had up to the power that we've missed and
Yeah.
calculate that. We had 10 new customers this month. We had 6 upgrades, 6 customer outages, and 2 of them were citywide. One was because of tree on the transmission line, and the other was repaired the substation. 2 more heat for less, totaling 419. Our line crews finished construction of electrical services for the Doiron subdivision. They also designed and surveyed the new construction for Fairview subdivision. Line crews replaced, and I'm not sure what these things are, replaced a lot of broken grips on the wires because of the storm damage. There was 36 of them. Dangerous trees near or on the lines, there was 37 more calls for those. We replaced 9 poles. We took down the ball field, and that's for you. And I tried to impress Wendy last night. She reported to me there was a street light down, and I said, well, you're talking to the right fella. I'm ahead of the light department. But I think I mentioned to everyone before, all the citizens can help us too. There's a little yellow sticker or a plate on every light pole. So if you do notice one, just write it down and phone it in, and we can get to it in the next day or two. So. And Wendy wasn't impressed at all.
Thank you, Councillor Campbell. Thank you for your report. Okay, we've gotten to the end of the agenda. I see there's a couple items on here for the Committee of the Whole under the MGA, Municipal Government Agreement section. So just before is there a motion to adjourn? We'll take a 10-minute recess in between. So moved by Councillor McDougall and seconded by Councillor McFeely. All in favour say aye. Aye. Thank you very much. Good night, everyone.